All right. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Early Morning Crypto Talk. Bitcoin Brandon here from Los Angeles, California. And what happened with my song? It just stopped on me. Anyways, I got to start early today because there's a whole lot of news to cover, a lot.
You rely on Snagit every day.
So I have to pick and choose what real big topics I was going to cover this morning. And I didn't do a crypto talk last night, so I have a lot to make up for. Go ahead and type in the chat box where you're listening in from. And make sure you hit the thumbs up button for the YouTube channel. Let's see, we've got Mafuz from Laurel, Maryland. Good morning. Port Gomes from Port St. Lucie. Tracy from the MISSSI. Well, you know how it goes. Mississippi. Lyndall Moore. Lyndall Moore says, I called it. What did I call, Lyndall? Justice LeBron from Puerto Rico. Port Gomes from Florida. LaShayna, I'm about to get paid Robinson from Richmond. Rohan from Tupelo, Mississippi. Marty Valley from Victoria, Texas. In Hawaii. Robert Wood from Baltimore. The Bitcoin capital of the world. I didn't know that. Baltimore is the Bitcoin capital of the world, huh? Barbara Brown. Stacy Alugas from New Orleans. Good morning, everybody. Ready to learn something new today? Ray Steen from Florida. As a disclaimer, I'm not a licensed financial advisor to be giving financial advice. I read the news, give my opinion, share suggestion, and it is up to you to make an informed, intelligent decision on which direction you want to move into. And today is a special day. I want to give a shout out to a special young lady that's having her birthday in Puerto Rico, Julexis LeBron. Junebug, I call her. Young entrepreneur in the making. Happy birthday. There's 4 rules I live by in the crypto space to have success. Rule number 1, education is key. Education is everything. Rule number 2, never invest money that you cannot afford to lose. Rule number 3, always get your return on investment back as fast as possible. And rule number 4, where do you see yourself 3 months, 6 months, a year from now? What are you willing to do to make it happen? Make a decision, find a vehicle, KGX, or whatever it is you're choosing, and take action. In the crypto space, make sure that you stay focused and do not get distracted. There's so many things out there that can distract you. If you're in a different industry, use the crypto space to invest your money. Use KGX to teach you what to do with it. I made that mistake. I made a whole lot of money in network marketing, and I lost a whole lot of money. Crypto is teaching you what to do with it. Now, I cannot guarantee you success, but what I can do is help you to minimize your risk. And that, my friends, is the most that you can ask for. Happy birthday tomorrow to you as well, Mr. Wood. Hello, Anissa, Ray Steen, Shane West, Nicholas from Sweden. Again, make sure you hit the thumbs up button. All right, so let me get screen share started. You know what? I've been testing out my new, not a blockchain phone, but the crypto SIM card, and I haven't had one drop call at all. I like this thing. It moves faster than my normal phone. All right, let me screen share. All right, that should be coming up. Stop the music. All right, you should be able to see my screen. And first thing we do this morning, we are going to look at the coin market cap. Coin market cap shows Bitcoin at 4,031. And I'm curious as to what exchange this is tied to. Coin market cap, what they're following. BitConnect, Bittrex, Binance. But the entire market cap's 136 billion, almost 137. It's been sitting there for about 48 hours now. Bitcoin dominant, 51.5%. It looks like it's flat right now, even though we've got a 6% gain on Cardano, 8% gain on Tron. Tron has moved up to the 8th spot. That just keeps rising. Look at this. Look at this steady rising like that. Not no jumping up, jumping like this. Steady incline. So Tron is on the move. That's the porn coin. I don't know why, but it's on the move. Cardano's steadily rising as well. What do I mean by jumping? It's like this, like looking at EOS. Boom, 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 boom. Up and down like that. What's the best performers? Mixed in, look at Tron. Then we've got, wait, wasn't it just showing as number 8? Now it hit number 9. I'll have to look at the chart, see who it's flipping against. Cardano. Another good, healthy growth here. Pundi X, 2.3%. Steam, what about the worst performers? Bulgaira coin, man, that's steady down. The Dentacoin, Ravane, any top coins. Litecoin is down 1.6%. So pretty flat. Let me take a closer look. Poloniex, I'm just going to start training myself on Bittrex and Binance. But Poloniex got the price at $39.69, but it's paired to Tether, $39.69. 69. What about USD? Yeah, it's 39.96. That's a difference. USDC is another stable coin, got it at 39.96, but the tether is 39.69. So, and then I see a downward trend for tether. What about USDC to Bitcoin? Six hours. Yeah, still same downward trend a little bit, still flat. All right, let's look at some news. I want to start with Jamie Dimon. And remember what I say, never listen to what people say. Follow what they do. Leaders lead by example. And Nicholas, you're right about that. Well, 4,100 though, well, if I look at this, and it depends on what you're pairing it up against. But if I look at this, yeah, this thing got steep real quick. We've got one at 40, right at 4,100. You're right, 4,100, and the buy wall's at 39.38 or so. So it's going to bounce around between these. If it gets beyond that 4,100 mark, then this thing is going to run all the way up to, it can run all the way up to 4,400. Wait, I did not put, oh, I'm not signed in. I got to sign in. I got to look at my sell order again. Yeah, you're right. But Jamie Dimon, just 2017, year and a half ago, he claimed that Bitcoin was negative everything, and they're still calling him an anti-Bitcoin. You can't call him anti-Bitcoin because he's all in on Bitcoin in 2018. His company is full speed ahead. He used the market and market manipulation to jump down on Bitcoin, and 2 days later bought the market on the dip and was found guilty of doing so. Now, here's some new news. He said, no recession ahead. Dow is rebounding. I call BS on this. Again, always, whenever somebody like this says something, you want to do the opposite. Why? Because his own company just last month came out of the report that said it is a 60% chance that the United States is going into a recession in the next 2 years, 80% chance in the next 3 years. His company said this, 80% chance of a recession. Now, he knows not too many people read or pay attention. So he comes out and says, oh, don't worry about it. There's no recession ahead. This is why education is important. When you know this stuff, he's contradicting himself, and a guy like this does not say anything without thinking about it beforehand. He does not speak off the cuff. His company's doing $6 trillion in business a day. Money moving around a day. The crypto market is only 136 billion. His company alone, 6 trillion a day. So he knows if he says something, it can impact his business. It can impact the stock market. It can impact his shareholders. So it's always carefully crafted. He's not stupid. He's the GOAT in the banking world, modern day. So when I see a headline like this, and I haven't read this article yet, if this is actually true, this is what he's saying, I'm going the opposite direction. But he has something happening that's backing him up a little bit. We're going to get into that. Jamie Dimon, the anti-Bitcoin CEO of JP Morgan Chase, says a global recession is not coming. So everyone needs to take a deep breath and chill out. That's what you say when you're trying to save, not cause a panic. He can't come out and say a recession's coming. It's going to mess up his stock. But his business, they have to, when they're giving their annual reports, they have to tell the truth. Just most people don't read that stuff. Dimon said the Dow and other stock market indices are merely experiencing a temporary hiccup. But that doesn't mean the U.S. economy will slide into a recession anytime soon. Diamond to everyone, take a deep breath. It looks to me like a slowdown, not a recession, Diamond told Fox Business. Remember what I also said, when you see Fox Business, Bloomberg, or MSNBC saying anything, when you do the opposite, you're 95% right. But the United States is still growing at 2.5%. We just had some good wage data. It's very possible we have a slowdown. People should take a deep breath. Things will open up a little bit. Diamond said the recent stock market slump occurred due to concerns about rising interest rates and a potential U.S. trade war with China. But things have calmed down since then, and the market have rebounded nicely, and that is actually correct. Despite the recent market turmoil, the U.S. economy is in good shape at the moment. Let's see. Oh, well, I'll save that comment. Hold on. The unemployment rate has plunged to a 48-year low, and 312,000 jobs were added in December 2018, far more than the 177,000 that were expected. That is true. He is speaking fact. It looks like there will be growth, Diamond said. It's not like we're going into a global recession. We're going to have maybe slower growth than people expected a couple of months ago. Moreover, Jamie Dimon says that U.S. consumer sentiment is in good shape and will continue to improve. If you look at actual data, people are getting jobs, more people are working, wages going up. Dimon explained, household balance sheet in very good shape, credit card credit extraordinarily good. It's better than we deserve at this point in the cycle. On January 8th, the Dow Industrial Average closed at 23,787, up 256 points, continuing a 5-day rally. So look at this. Canadian economists, 80% chance of U.S. recession. Diamond's bullish outlook. Why didn't they just report J.P. Morgan's analysts? Why is he going to Canadian economists? Diamond's bullish outlook differs sharply from the bearish projections of Canadian economist David Rosenberg, a strategist of Gluskin Sheff, a Toronto investment firm. As CCN reported, Rosenberg isn't impressed by the Dow's recent recovery. In fact, he claims there's an 80% chance that the U.S. will fall into a recession, bringing the global economy down with it. We've got more than 80% chance of recession just based on the fact the Fed is tightening policy. For the record, in 2017, Rosenberg predicted that the U.S. economy would crash in 2018, but that did not happen. Rosenberg placed much of the blame for the purported forthcoming recession on Jerome Powell, the chairman of the Federal Reserve. The Fed has raised interest rates 7 times during President Donald Trump's 2-year presidency. In contrast, the Fed hiked rates just once during Obama's 8 years in office. Powell received, now you wonder why you see Trump going after the Fed. Powell received widespread criticism after the Fed hiked interest rates for the 4th time in 2018, causing the stock market to tumble and spurring fears of a recession. Bitcoin proponent Ron Paul says abolish the Fed. Retired U.S. Congressman Ron Paul, the father of current U.S. Senator Rand Paul, reacted by renewing his calls to abolish the Federal Reserve. Amid volcanic backlash from many sides, Powell softened his stance. On January 4th, 2 weeks after the hiking rates for the 4th time in 2018, Powell promised to be flexible and sensitive to how repeated rate hikes could tank the stock market. We're listening carefully with sensitivity to the message that the markets are sending, Powell vowed, and we'll be taking those downside risks into account as we make policy going forward. Crypto and exec 2019 will be epic. Meanwhile, in crypto land, many executives remain bullish about Bitcoin and expect a watershed 2019 for the industry. I don't think so. I think it's still going to be 2020. As CCN reported, Travis Scher, a vice president at crypto investment firm Digital Currency Group, expects an influx of institutional investments this year amid an industry-wide consolidation. This is very real. Companies like Goldman Sachs, Fidelity, and ICE are publicly making big moves in this space. Scher said, the change-averse corporate executives who have derided crypto will be embarrassed when their dismissive quotes resurface down the line. Now, everything Jamie said factually is true. That is all true. But saying that we're not going to go into a recession because of what he's saying right now, the short term, is misleading. If you take away the Fed hiking rates up 2 years into president's term, I mean, let's just look at this. Let me show you a good example. You see this chart right here. 1913, the US dollar, 100%. 100 plus years later, the US dollar is worth, 2013, about 5% of what it was in 1913. Today it's worth about 0.5% of what it was worth in 1913. That is a slow drop like that. Slow death. See, what you see here, this happened to Venezuela in 1 month. So imagine you losing your value of your dollar by 95% in 1 month. It happened to us. It just took 100 years. We just haven't experienced that. I was born here. So I was born when the US dollar was still less than 20% of what its real value was when it first got started. And I was born after we got off the gold standard. That's right, Nicholas. It's a slow bleed. That's also the U.S. economy because our debt has been steadily rising. We can't stay on that path. It's just impossible. So even without this, and I'm going to go into the next few articles here that is actually good news for our economy right now. Dow to pop higher after Trump backs away from declaring emergency to build border walls. See, this is what, if you're paying attention to the market, they were fearful if Donald Trump declared a state of emergency so that he can use that as a backdrop to go ahead and build the border wall without congressional approval, the stock market would have had a hit. But since he fell short on that, he called it a national crisis, but not declared it a state of emergency, then the market started to rebound. So here's what this has to say. Dow Jones Industrial Average Futures suggested that the U.S. stock market would open to slight gains on Wednesday after President Donald Trump delivered a White House address on border security and the importance of including border wall funding in any spending bill that ends the partial government shutdown. Stock markets prepped for fourth straight day of gains. Some would call this a dead cat bounce, but we will see. As of 8:25 a.m., Dow futures implied a rise of 116 points, or 0.49% at the open, which would lift the index to 23,859. NASDAQ and S&P 500 futures were also pointing north, with the former up 0.51% and the latter preparing to climb 0.41% at the opening bell. On Tuesday, all three major U.S. stock market indices had closed with gains of around 1%, with the Dow rising 256.1 points, or 1.09% to $23,787. The NASDAQ climbing 1.08% and the S&P 500 lagging a bit with a 0.97% gain. Trump doubles down on border wall, but doesn't declare national emergency. Wednesday's move to the upside came less than 12 hours after President Donald Trump addressed the nation on Tuesday night from the Oval Office, using stark language to convey the situation on the U.S.-Mexico border as a humanitarian crisis, a crisis of the heart, and a crisis of the soul. Crucially, though, the president did not follow through on his threat to declare the border a national emergency, which might, pending a bitter fight in the courts, have afforded him with the latitude to follow through on his promise to build a physical barrier on the border, even without buy-in from congressional Democrats. That said, Axios reported that a source close to President Trump said that declaring a national emergency at the border is the most likely ultimate option to realize his beloved wall's construction. House Speaker, so he still can do it. He just didn't do it last night. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer delivered the expected response just minutes after the president's address, calling on Trump to end this shutdown now. However, their speech will likely be remembered more for the memes it inspired than the words it contained, or impact on its legislative. That was kind of funny. Partial government shutdown enters 19th day. The big date is Friday. If Friday comes and goes and the government is shut down, you are going to start seeing screaming like never before, because that's supposed to be payday. In other words, both sides have doubled down on their positions in what few believe is anything other than a symbolic fight. Meanwhile, the partial government shutdown has entered its 19th day, and some federal employees are days away from missing their first full paycheck. Now, Big Three rating agency Fitch is warning that the government shutdown, if it persists much longer, could threaten the United States AAA credit rating. How in the world does the United States still have a AAA credit rating anyway? We're $21 trillion in debt. Speaking in London in remarks quoted in Business Insider, James McCormack, the firm's global head of sovereign ratings, said, if this shutdown continues to March 1st and the debt ceiling becomes a problem several months later, we may need to start thinking about the policy framework, the inability to pass a budget, and whether all of that is consistent with AAA. Dow global markets rise as U.S. and China conclude 3 days of trade talks. Across the Pacific, improving relations with China are buttressing the markets as the world's two largest economies have today concluded 3 days of mid-level trade negotiations. While a formal end to the ongoing trade war has not yet been announced, reports out of China suggest that the discussions were going well. Hugh Jiyin, an editor at the Global Times, tweeted that the two sides are expected to release statements on Thursday morning, Beijing time. However, with the Dow preparing to rise for a fourth consecutive day, its longest winning streak since November, one must hope that the markets are not pricing in a U.S.-China trade deal too quickly. Trump, who tweeted on Wednesday that negotiations were going very well, has overstated the quality of the talks before. If the week passes without the outlines of a deal, global indices could slide back into the red. Now, this article was 2 hours ago, and this one was like a couple minutes ago, right before I went live. Dow rally plows ahead as China trade optimism grows. So these two articles kind of is backing up what Jamie Dimon says as far, we're not going into a recession right now. The Dow's rebounding. All it takes is 1 month of it going the opposite direction, like December. Stock indices, including the Dow, traded higher after Wednesday's open and were on track for their fourth consecutive daily advance, as sentiment around U.S.-China trade negotiations improves following the conclusion of mid-level talks in Beijing. All of Wall Street's major indexes were holding onto firm gains as of mid-morning, with the Dow Jones Industrial Average rising 45.56 points. So we've got Visa, Boeing, Chevron emerged as the early leaders, each rising at least 1.6%. In the stock market, a 1.6% gain means people getting rich. The crypto space, that happens every 30 minutes, one way or the other. What is this over time? What this chart here? What is this telling me? When did this start? Okay, 4 days. The broad S&P, yeah. Since entering bear market territory last month, the S&P 500 and NASDAQ have recovered 10% and 11% respectively. All indexes bottomed on Christmas Eve before staging a large recovery on Boxing Day. The relief rally has extended into the new year thanks to a combination of trade optimism and stronger than expected data. Stocks rose more than 1% on Tuesday ahead of President Trump's first primetime address to the nation. The president made one of his strongest cases yet for increased border protection between the United States and Mexico, but held off on declaring a national emergency that may have given him the latitude to move forward with an extension of the southern barrier. Trade optimism builds. The first round of trade negotiations between the United States and China concluded on a positive note Wednesday, setting the stage for continued dialogue after a good few days, according to a U.S. official who attended the meetings. Ted McKinney, the U.S. Undersecretary of Agriculture and for Trade and Foreign Agricultural Affairs, said the meetings went just fine without elaborating. The negotiations went a day longer than planned, which means both sides are treating the matter seriously. According to CNBC, both sides made progress on key issues related to the purchase of U.S. farm and energy commodities and increased access to China's domestic market. The negotiations were the first face-to-face meetings since President Trump and Chinese counterpart Xi Jinping agreed in early December to put their trade war on hold for 90 days. The 90-day window expires in March. So you got two articles there. The stock market is moving in a good direction now. But interestingly, the crypto market is not popping like the stock market is, nor is it going down. Meaning, people are taking their money out of crypto and putting into the stock market. But the volume is just not there. I mean, the 100 billion is nothing in the stock market. It's not going to have any type of impact. But this being flat is still interesting. I call it a dead cat bounce. What's going on right now? Let's see how long this can go. If this can go another week, then I think first quarter might be pretty good for the stock market, unless something crazy happens. Hopefully that can turn into the crypto space also following suit. All right, look at this one here. Millionaire missing since October 31st. Husband found threat note demanding 9 million euros in Monero. This is why when we talk about security in crypto, you don't want everybody to know your crypto business. Not like network marketing. In network marketing, somebody gets promoted to the top company. They go on stage and get handed a big, large check. Next thing you know, they're out buying a nice car and showing off their house, their lifestyle, all that stuff, letting everybody know they're balling. And they use that to recruit. Enticement. You don't want to do that in the crypto space. You're not going to see me flossing. And people have asked me to. That one, is not my personality. And two, I'm private. And three, I don't want to get kidnapped. In the crypto space, you putting a target on your back. When you travel, especially international, don't be having crypto stuff, stickers and gear and all over yourself. Letting everybody know you're in crypto. Remember, you are your bank. You are your security. So here's what happened here. Norwegian Anne Elizabeth Falkevik Hagen, 68, has been missing since October 31st of last year. Is she still alive? Her husband, Tom Hagen, is Norway's 172 richest person, according to Capital. Serious threats have been made by what appears to be the kidnappers, which is why the police has kept a low profile since they started investigating the missing person case in November. The police explained that they have chosen to go public as their massive investigation has produced few leads. They need more information and believe the public might be able to help. Anne Elizabeth was last seen in her home October 31st. So they broke into her home. I'm serious. Next house by, super gated community, guard at the gate. According to Norwegian newspapers, Anne Elizabeth Falkevik Hagen was attacked in her own bathroom 10 weeks ago. There are no signs of a forced entry, but the police have found evidence in the house. Inside job? Anne Elizabeth's husband, Tom Hagen, arrived to an empty home October 31st where he found a written letter. The letter was written in Norwegian with spelling errors. The threat note demanded a $9 million euro ransom to be paid in the anonymous cryptocurrency Monero. The threat note went on and claimed that Anne Elizabeth would be murdered if the police got involved. That's why the police think they are dealing with a kidnapping case. No signs of life. So there's been no proof of life on this? There has been no sign of life from Anne Elizabeth since October 31st. The police believe the kidnappers were after Tom Hagen's wealth. Tom Hagen is presently worth $1.7 billion which is equal, $200 million. Tom Hagen is a real estate investor and owns 70% of a major energy company in Norway. The police have few clues to whom the kidnappers are. There were no surveillance cameras near the house, but surrounding traffic recordings of traffic have been secured. The police have not been able to conduct important technical studies publicly as they were afraid of alerting the kidnappers. Let me finish this. Our goal is to find the woman alive and reunite her with her family. In serious crime cases, this is an important factor. We depend on tips that can help us come closer to finding Anne Elizabeth. Including multiple police districts, the Norwegian police have involved Europol and Interpol in trying to solve the case. Norwegian news sites have been aware of the kidnapping case for a longer period of time, but have been asked to withhold information from the public. VGN reports that Anne Elizabeth Hagen's family has been chasing possible conflicts and relations that could be linked to the disappearance. Last fall, her husband, Tom Hagen, was involved in a lawsuit through financial funds where he is a co-owner. I'm calling my spidey sense is tingling right now. Employees in the brokerage firm Pareto and consultant for the Russian steel company Severstal are indicted for fraud and market manipulation after 12 investors sold shares in the mining company Crew Gold Corporation for a price guarantee. Later, Pareto bought stocks on behalf of anonymous clients. The Norwegian National Authority for Investigation and Prosecution of Economic and Environmental Crime believes the client was Sever. Hold on a second. It's Wednesday. I got my gardeners here. All right. Norwegian National Authority for Investigation believes the client was Severstal and that previous investors were conned. Tom Hagen and his business partner, Frederick Snevy, lost $37 million on the deal. However, the police investigation has not uncovered any connection between the trail and the disappearance of Anne Elizabeth Hagen. You know what? I call people out all the time. Investigate the husband here. Let's just keep it real. Something is fishy with this. He's under investigation. He's losing money. Stuff's happening around him. You don't know what's going on in that household between him and his wife. You don't have you worth $200 million. You don't have no surveillance, alarm system, whatever, cameras around your home. She gets kidnapped in her bedroom, in her bathroom. So somebody had to know that she was there alone. I call BS on all this. Maybe I've seen one too many movies. Hold on. Maybe I've seen too many TV shows. But I'm just saying, husband did it. As a disclaimer, I have no proof or evidence. That is my own opinion for entertainment purposes only. I don't want nobody coming after me. All right, last article up. BitConnect, the company that just can't stay out of the news. Do you realize now that KGX is older than BitConnect? You don't realize that? Why KGX? Because we're legal. We are older than BitConnect. People don't want to play around in the crypto space. Get with a company that you know is going to be here. Regulators freezes assets of BitConnect promoter John Bigatton. Let me put this link in the chat box. John Bigatton, the only representative for BitConnect Australia, I remember that name, has had his assets frozen by the Australian Securities and Investment Commission, the SEC, basically, their version of it. Functions very similar to the SEC of the United States. Bigatton can't travel as part of the ongoing investigation. In the video below, Bigatton celebrates with BitConnect victims as crash reigns to a Star Wars theme. Well, that's an interesting word to use. He celebrates with BitConnect victims. So are you saying that he is also a victim? This was in what? Where did this happen? I think Thailand, this conference. And all these people on stage were making sick money. And Bigatton is one of those guys on stage. So they say, with BitConnect victims. If I was his lawyers right now, I would run with that. I'm like, what are you talking about? He was a victim just like everybody else. He just happened to make more money. From financial advisor to alleged crypto scammer. Bigatton is also a director and shareholder in Oh, okay. He was a shareholder and director shareholder in BitConnect International. BitConnect as a whole is under investigation by several international bodies, including the FBI in the U.S. People like Trevon James. Oh, man, his name just can't stay out of the news here. Trevon James, a notorious Bitcoin pumper who remains active on social media promoting and discussing cryptocurrencies, are the target of investigations in the U.S. Bigatton must divulge all of his assets to Australian federal authorities. This includes his cryptocurrencies and any exchange accounts, as the Sydney Morning Herald wrote. ASIC launched action to freeze Mr. Bigatton's assets in December. On ASIC's request, Federal Court Justice Michael Gleason issued orders for Mr. Bigatton to disclose all bank accounts, a list of the locations of all cryptocurrencies held by him, and any escrow accounts holding any cryptocurrencies. Bigatton has been a registered financial advisor and had multiple affiliations within that industry. The disgrace of the BitConnect collapse puts a damper on his career. According to a class action lawsuit filed in Florida, BitConnect promoters promised investors up to 40% returns. Now, that is also an interesting choice to use there. BitConnect itself did not promise 40% returns. BitConnect promoters did. And that is a very important distinction to make. If you wonder, how can a promoter, they didn't create the company, they didn't know the company would pull an exit scam, they didn't have any intent to scam anybody, but how were they promoting their business? This is why, especially in KGX, we will not allow any income claims of any sort, no matter if it's true, because of this stuff right here. BitConnect promoter promise. So even if somebody got 39% return, they'll still scream bloody murder. I was promised 40%. I didn't get 40%. I only got 39%. I'm suing. Yes, there are clowns out there who will do that. They could make $50 million, but they were promised to make $51 million, and that $1 million will set them off. There are people anal like that. Bigatton is still listed on the About Us page of a company called Wealth Synergy. I've heard of that. Wealth Synergy. Bigatton's wife is still another missing wife. Really? So are we seeing a trend here? Husband gets into some financial trouble and the wife goes missing. I've been in financial trouble many times. My wife ain't gone missing. Another wife is missing. What's up with this? Has she been kidnapped also? A company called JB's Investment Management is also part of the ASIC movement. Clearly, hey, wives, if your husband's into, financial stuff and crypto stuff, he might be one to sleep with one eye open. I don't know. I'm just saying. I shouldn't laugh at this. All right, let me see what's up with this. Okay. A company called JB's Investment Management is also part of the ASIC movement. Clearly, the JB stands for John Bigatton. However, this company has one shareholder and director, Bigatton's wife, Madeline. She's the only shareholder and director. As part of their actions against him, ASIC also froze all assets related to JBIM. This is where the story gets interesting. Oh, okay. It gets interesting. Last March, Madeline Bigatton went missing. Wait, what? We got one wife that's been missing since October, another wife that's been missing since March. She's been gone all of 2018. Police are currently treating it as a missing persons and potential homicide case. Details may emerge in the future which tell a different tale. Possibilities include her potential absconding with cash assets and installing herself abroad as part of a strategy. Either way, she's essentially a ghost as far as authorities are concerned. So did she just bailed with the money? John Bigatton is not a current suspect. Well, if he's from Australia, where did she bail to? Because a lot of people bail to Australia to hide. Where did she go? Asia somewhere? New Zealand? Before her disappearance, Madeline went on record as defending her husband. She said, "It really cuts me up as John doesn't have a single bad bone in his body. It really cuts me up." I hope she didn't get, no, shut up, Brandon. He doesn't have a bad bone in his body and would only be involved in something if he truly believed it would be a positive impact in people's lives. In the days after her disappearance, John Bigatton didn't seem disturbed at all. He posted this family selfie on Facebook. Well, wait. She went missing, and a few days later, he's on Facebook smiling with the family, and the entire family smiling. I don't see one shed tear in this photo. Shouldn't they all be tripping? Where's mom? The kids? You might be able to coach the parents, but the kids can't hide their emotions. What? You got one girl with her middle finger up? I mean, it's all smiles all around. I smell scam here. Something's up. Investigations and lawsuits surrounding BitConnect continue. Such things take years, not months. The best outcome would be that Mrs. Bigatton is found alive and well. BitConnect investors are recompensated, and those who require justice. Oh, stop right there. BitConnect investors are not going to be recompensated. Can we cut the noise there? That's why I don't like these class action lawsuits. You spending more money. The only people who win in the class action lawsuits are the attorneys. They're the only ones that make money. You bet on something, you lost, move on. You shouldn't have been in the space in the first place. I lost $40K in BitConnect. $40K investment and about $15K in, I don't know if you can call it cash, that I had sitting there that I wasn't able to pull out. So you add that up, more than $50,000. You don't see me running, oh, I got to do a class action lawsuit. I've made more money since then by focusing on other things. You keep it moving. All right. That was the last article for today. Let's see. Has the market changed since I've been talking? Since the stock market seems to be doing a rally right now. No, Bitcoin is in a little bit of the negative. Let me see it more closely detailed. 39.60. That's tripping me out because I bought back in. I sold at 40.50. I bought back in at 39.80, and I put a sell order in now at 40.80, $4,080 for the market to go back up that high. So right now it's at 39.60. So I'm at a loss if I were to sell right now, which I'm not. I'm going to sit on the sucker. Maybe I'll sell maybe at 40.20 if I see the market not going to bounce higher. But the sell wall, it's squeezing right now. And I see movement above the top Bollinger Bar. So they could rise up. It just depends on how long this squeeze is going to take place. It's squeezing. Let's look at the last 15 minutes. Last 15 minutes, those show it at the bottom. So some positive green volumes coming in. Candlesticks, let's look at, is that same bot still in there? 35 Bitcoin is being a buy order for. At what price? At 39.38. So you think it's going to go that low? Let's see here. 39.81 sell order. So that bot is still operating. It used to be 50 Bitcoin. Now it's at 35 Bitcoin. Wonder why it dropped like that. Unless they took out some profits. Here's the sell wall. As far as the pairing with Tether, it is at 4,000, between 4,000 and 4,100. And the buy wall is at 3,900. So it's going to bounce around in there. So if you're day trading, you can make some good money, a couple of half percentage points or whatnot, a couple times a day. All right, with that, that was the news for this morning. Today is Wednesday. I may not be back for Crypto Talk tonight. I've got a council meeting to go to tonight at 6. But if something major happens, I don't know. We'll see. Hope you guys learned something new. As always, that is the point. Again, happy birthday to Alexis in Puerto Rico. And I'll see you all later on. Have a good day. God bless. Bitcoin Brandon out. Bye-bye.